Hello, my name is Eric Primus, the founder of Primus Academy, an e-commerce learning solutions platform. In this video series, we will discuss how to use e-commerce dropshipping to generate a steady, sustainable, long-term income. E-commerce is exploding right now and is minting the next millionaires and billionaires of this generation. Dropshipping's barrier of entry is low, which means that anyone, especially entrepreneurs with limited resources, can participate in e-commerce with minimal investment. In this video series, you will learn how to use free open source tools like WordPress WooCommerce to build low-cost e-commerce dropshipping websites. You will also learn how to promote products from this website using Facebook, Google, YouTube, TikTok, and Snapchat ads to drive high-quality, targeted website visitors to your offers. This video series is an annotated version of a course you can take by following the link below in this description. It is only $99 for a 1-year subscription and is updated frequently with new material to keep you abreast on the latest trends and changes in e-commerce and e-commerce advertising. You can cancel at any time. Let's get started. So let's pose this question. What is dropshipping? Simply put, dropshipping is a supply chain management technique wherein the sellers accept orders from the customer, but does not keep goods sold in stock. Orders are then sent to the manufacturer, fulfillment center, or wholesaler and shipped directly to the customer. So in effect, with dropshipping, you're eliminating the middleman. So as with any form of retail, or as with any other form of retail, the seller makes their profit by charging the difference between the wholesale price less any merchant and shipping fees accrued to them. So how does dropshipping work? Well, let's take a look at this illustration. So let's take a look at step 1. Assuming this is e-commerce dropshipping and you have a website, the customer orders items from your website. In step 2, your store automatically sends this order to the supplier. In step 3, the supplier receives the order and prepares it for shipment. And in step 4, the supplier ships the order directly to your customer. So in essence, you don't manage and you do not store the inventory. This is huge because all you would have to do is just add products to your website. And there are ways to actually automate that. So just by eliminating the middleman, so in this case, let's say a distributor or a wholesaler, by completely eliminating the middleman, you create the ability to sell without having to keep and manage inventory. And this is going to ensure that you have a higher profit margin, and you also don't have to deal with the whole logistics and the inventory management aspect of online retail, which is huge. So what are the pros and cons of dropshipping? There are pros and there are cons. Well, let's take a look at the pros. So because you don't have to manage inventory and because you do not have to, and this is the key word, invest in inventory, dropshipping has a low barrier of entry. So anyone can do it, even with minimal investment, less than a few $100s. It's less capital intensive. So you don't need to take out loans and huge amounts of credit card or get yourself into credit card debt to succeed at dropshipping. Inventory management. You don't have to manage inventory. You also don't have to store inventory. Logistics and shipping. Imagine if you were to handle that as a dropshipper. That would be additional money and that can eat into your margins. So you don't have to worry about logistics, shipping, and shipping your items out to your customers. You're not directly responsible for that. Storage and warehousing, right? Imagine if you had to purchase inventory and then store it in a warehouse. A lot of entrepreneurs who start out with e-commerce, a lot of them are spending money on storage and warehousing. And this can cost a lot of money, especially if you're doing low volume. So you always have to have at least some type of moderate volume to pay these very expensive storage and warehousing fees. Again, that eats into your margins. And also a big thing here is with dropshipping, you can sell and test products with less risk. Okay, imagine if you have to invest in inventory and then you have to sell the inventory. You're not going to get your money back. And a lot of the times, if you cannot move the product and you cannot move the inventory, you ultimately have to end up discounting the inventory. So your margins are gone and then you lose money. So there's considerable amount of less risk with dropshipping when it comes to this specific issue of selling and then testing products with limited risk. Cons. So there are negatives, there are a few, but we'll talk about them and how to remedy them. One is real-time inventory management. So the dropshipper is always going to be at the helm or at the mercy of the supplier. So a lot of the times, the supplier will not provide real-time inventory management to the actual dropshipper. So especially, let's say during the holiday seasons, a customer might purchase something. And when the customer purchased something, you have to now go and tell the supplier to fulfill the order. All of this can be automated, by the way, with obviously all the technology that's around today. And sometimes this supplier might not have the item, especially if the customer orders more than one of this item, right? Again, we're using hypotheticals, but this is possible. The way to circumvent that, obviously, is to deal with suppliers that have real-time inventory management. Okay, they work for you. So if you're encountering, and we'll talk about this in the series, if you're dealing with a supplier who cannot give you this real-time inventory management, it's worth not even dealing with them, because you don't want to have a situation where you have customer service related issues. Because remember, the customer is interfacing with your website. They have no idea that you're a drop shipper, right? You're just another e-commerce retailer. So you don't have any control over shipping and logistics, as we mentioned. And product quality and control. Sometimes it's hard to sample these products, especially if you have inventories that are a few hundred, 300, 400 products. Some dropshippers have thousands of products. It's hard to test each one to see if it's actually good to be sold. So you have to sort of do your own research on specific products to make sure they're good quality, so that you improve and make sure you maintain a great customer service relationship. And then obviously returns and chargebacks. They can be a nightmare for drop shippers, because typically when a customer is returning something, they're not returning it to the supplier, they're returning it to the drop shipper. So the drop shipper has to ultimately utilize resources to return the product to the supplier at a cost, okay? And then obviously refund the customer or exchange for do an even exchange of some sorts. So sometimes this can cost a lot of money. Not a lot of money, but this can, if you know what you're doing, returns and chargebacks will be at a minimum. And we'll talk about customer service related things in this video series. But if you're doing the wrong thing, okay, it can cost a lot of money, right? If you're not following the practices you learn in this video, the returns and chargebacks can cost you your business. Okay, but that's not a concern. You're dealing with a professional here who can teach you how to circumvent all of these things. So the things you're going to need to follow along in this video series, you're going to need a computer or laptop with reasonable internet access speeds. Obviously, if you're watching this on YouTube, you should be able to get by with this video series. I mean, I don't know of any computer or laptop that couldn't handle the YouTube speeds and YouTube buffering. YouTube is a world-class platform in that respect. So you're going to need a mobile phone with a data plan to download the application version of this course. Now, by application version of this course, we're talking about accessing this on a mobile browser. So not everybody has a computer or laptop. If you want to follow along from your phone, you can also do that. A notebook for note taking. A server, we'll discuss this in detail. You're not going to pay lots of money for a server. We're talking a few dollars here. And we're going to need the server to test, because we're going to build a demo store together to test everything out, okay? So you're going to need a Google One account. That's free. Don't worry about that. And we'll talk about what a Google One account is as the video series plays out. You're going to need a Google Ads account, and we'll discuss this in detail. A Google Merchants account, we'll discuss this in detail. and then a Meta Business Manager account. We will discuss that in detail. You're also going to need a Facebook account. So now that we have everything straightened away and we have our definitions in line and you know what this whole video series is going to be about, let's get started. If you're excited like me, let's go do this.